hello to the people checking this out afterwards, because obviously no one is watching this yet, so you'll be the ones watching this little intro I'm doing. So today I just wanted to live stream as usual, trying to get into the weekly schedule again, doing it on Sunday, so hopefully more people will join me today. Just going to tweet out the live stream onto social media, onto Twitter and Instagram, just to get more people in. So if you just bear with me for a couple seconds, just to set everyone on live streaming. But yeah, so like normal, I'll just be talking about lots of issues in the news lately, and I'll be taking your questions, because it seems to be, whenever I do this, it just ends up, talking about everyone else's topics, which is fine by me. I'd rather do that anyway. So just going to tweet this all out. Come and join me. Alright. So sorry, just gonna, if anyone's joined, just gonna finish uploading this to social media. Maybe I'll put it, oh fuck it, I won't put it on my Instagram, just leave that. So, yeah, but if people are here already, so thank you for joining me. I must have posted something about Bernie Sanders for you to get a notification, do you mean, instead of a nomination? Unless you getting the nomination for president. I didn't post anything about Bernie today or lately. It's more about Joe Biden, but obviously people have probably seen that if you type in Bernie 2020 into Google, it comes up with Joe Biden 2020 because of something about AdWords or something. They bought the AdWords. Something like that, if that's the joke you're making. Oh, sorry, I'm going to put it on Instagram, I decided. Link in bio. There we go. On my story. Done. Alright, just going to get the chat up on my phone. There we go. Alright, I'm ready. Ready to go now. So, hello, Mac, and hello, Jenna. I guess it's just Jenna, and hello, Kennedy. Thank you for joining me already. We're going to have to bully Biden so much, I'm excited. And then Mac saying, Joe Biden would lose. I don't get why Trump calls him Sleepy Joe instead of Creepy Joe. Izzy saying, I'm hoping Biden doesn't win because it'd be 2016 all over again. And Jenna saying, anti-Biden, I'm all in, I can't stand Biden. Hi, Jorge Luis, thanks for joining me again. I know you've come to a lot of the most recent ones. Yeah, but Joe Biden, why I'm saying everyone loses is because, like a lot of people have been saying, is he's just like a Republican anyway. Like, I was looking at his record today and lots of articles. I can't even believe he's even being considered. Like, the stuff he's done in the past is unforgivable, whether that's, the crime bill, supporting the Iraq war, helping create the Patriot Act and stuff. Like, this is crazy stuff. Right-wingers don't lose. Yeah, exactly, they don't. But I can't even, sorry, just kick my PS4 controller. I can't even believe it. Just going to open a window. So I'm getting angry already. Just got to get some air in here. Isn't it past your bedtime? Oh shit, wait. No, it's not past my bedtime. My job at the moment is freelancing, so I don't have a bedtime. Right-wingers don't lose. Right-wingers are people. No, they're not. Well, they are, but they're scum. Izzy Sanchez saying he's Republican light, like how Cenk Uygur says it. Yeah, that's true. Basically is a Republican. And Game of Thrones is less than an hour. Isn't it already on now, I thought? I don't watch Game of Thrones anyway. I'm a Bernie supporter. Yes, I hope so. I kind of hope no Biden supporters subscribe to my channel, because then I've done my job poorly if people like that want to watch my videos. Because I don't want to appeal to Republicans and people like that because of what they stand for. Joe Biden, wasn't he just exposed in 2010 how he's against weed legalization and shit like that? Like, how can anyone be running in 2019 and be against weed legalization? Like, come on, man. Like, especially in parts of the country have already done it. Like, how hard is it to agree with policies that have already been really successful in generating government revenue, from all the taxes you get from it, and taxes obviously people have to pay to buy the product from you when the government's made it legal. So Kennedy's saying, it's been so funny to see people who claim Bernie is sexist suddenly standing for Biden. Yeah. Max saying Jimmy Dore made a video about it and I thought the quote was clickbait, but no, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And just like, I was arguing with someone today, they were saying Bernie is sexist, Biden isn't, because Bernie wrote rape fantasies or something, and then I researched the issue, because I didn't know about what this was about. Basically, he wrote some, like, satire about gender roles, and it's not, like, anything great, but, like, it doesn't mean he's a sexist, and it had, like, next to it his voting record on women's rights, and he's really, really good for it, and Biden's obviously not very good for it. And that Alyssa Milano, whatever her name is, she tweeted again today, like, let's not make this primary about negativity. I'll like back anyone who's the Democratic nomination. How ridiculous is that? Like logic. Do people forget? Do they have such short memories? I guess they do forget because it was Ted Kennedy versus Jimmy Carter who was the president. They challenged a sitting president in 1980 for the nomination, right? And Ted Kennedy was probably like the establishment candidate against Jimmy Carter, who wasn't, because he's a bit of an outsider. And do they not remember that? And think about how savage a primary is if your own party are pushing someone to run against the president. And it's crazy they think, you can't have an open primary as well anyway. Like, we've got to have an anointed candidate like Hillary Clinton again. Look how that worked out. So, Jorge saying, because he's an old school guy, he hasn't changed a bit. Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying, like in the 70s when he was starting in politics, he was fighting against integration, while Bernie as a student was president of CORE fighting for civil rights. Just a nice, like, to show how different they are. Prankish, how do you say this? Prankish Squire, Drugs, Crime and Uncle Joe, and Democracy Now! Did a great review of Dear Old Joe. Yeah, I got to check that out. Kennedy saying Alyssa Milano is rich and rich people don't get to have opinions. Yeah, lots of people in the comments are saying, well, it doesn't matter who wins because it's never going to affect you, which is true. And she's just the worst person on Twitter. I absolutely hate her. Izzy saying, isn't it because Republicans are loving the bribery they're receiving for lobbyists? The reasons why they push for Republican policies and the poorly informed voters fall for their lies. I wouldn't just say it's Republicans, it's most of the Democrats as well. Look at Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. What a joke of a leadership they are, And Chuck Schumer, backing Trump, moving the embassy to Jerusalem for Israel. What the hell is wrong with Democrats? That just exposes how they're exactly the same. How can you support that? Bill Clinton and stuff, even for as hated as he is, he wanted to make a two-state solution and bring peace to the area, right? Why are people like Chuck Schumer, who are like more in line with people like Clinton, agreeing with Trump moving the embassy to Jerusalem, basically saying to the Palestinians, your claim to East Jerusalem as your capital for a two-state solution isn't legitimate. It should be Israel's capital. And we'll move our embassy there, and then Australia are doing it as well. It's fucking stupid, man. So good old Chappaquiddick Ted. That is such a weird thing. I kind of feel a bit bad for him, Mac, because of the years he was like. Can you imagine in the space of, well, I think it's about 10 years, losing your older brother who's president to assassination, losing your other older brother who's running for president for assassination, losing your dad. And then I think his sister might have died in between that. And then I think one of Bobby's sons might have died as well. So that's why I feel I have a bit of more sympathy for Ted Kennedy in terms of Chappaquiddick. But obviously it doesn't excuse what he did, not reporting that for like, what was it, like 2 days or something? Can I sniff your hair? No. Well, you're not even here. So so Evan's saying, poor Bernie being smeared by all the time of CNN and Fox. Yeah, but I hope like people who are like Bernie supporters don't even really pay attention to that shit, really. And I think a lot of people who watch Fox liked him, but they're not the people, I guess, you can change their mind by like their TV coverage. You have to go out to them like Bernie's trying to do. So Joe Biden is Irish, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Prankish Squire saying, the guy who lost three times follows the plan of the lady who lost twice. What could go wrong? Tim Black. Yeah, exactly. Just because Obama was successful is because he was super charismatic and like a historic candidate. He tricked a lot of people. These two are the standard Dems from the 90s. Like, they literally haven't changed since the 90s, essentially. So Jorge saying, given the high amount of thumbs down his announcement videos have on YouTube, maybe people aren't falling for him. Yeah, I hope they aren't. And I have seen a lot of backlash, and I hope Democrats realise how easy Trump is running with this stuff. Like, you remember that video he made of Joe Biden creeping on himself, and like, the attacks just write themselves. Like, it's like Hillary Clinton all over again, but probably even worse, because they have so much stuff to hit him with. Like, I don't think he would win against Trump, which is really saying something. Is he saying corporate Dems are Republican light? Yeah, I agree. Jorge was saying Nancy Pelosi thinks the mainstream is what she thinks, except all of Bernie's policies are mainstream stuff. Now, isn't Nancy Pelosi almost like 80 years old as well, and a centrist, and like super wealthy? So I wouldn't really take anything she says seriously. If she thinks that's the mainstream, I think she would think that, and being so dismissive of Ilhan Omar and AOC shows how out of touch she is. He lost an older brother in World War Two. Oh, Ted Kennedy lost three brothers. Yeah, Joe Kennedy is the oldest, isn't he? And he died. But I'm talking about in the context of Chappaquiddick, is what Mac was talking about, and is that 1973. And I'm talking about in the space of 10 years, two of his older brothers, his dad died, and I think one of his nephews died as well. So that's what the point was. So Randy's saying, everyone in the mainstream media is against Bernie. We've got to rise up, time for a revolution. Well, I don't think the Western countries really have a society who are motivated for revolution, because everything we have is tied up in the capitalist system, so people just have too much to lose. So Izzy saying, isn't having close ties with Israel and Saudi Arabia causing a lot of instability in the Middle East? Izzy, I agree with you, but what are you referencing specifically? So if I'm talking about the Trump thing just now, where they're trying to move the Golan Heights, they're recognizing as part of Israel, moving the embassy to Jerusalem is obviously super inflammatory to Palestine and Syria. So yeah, that sort of stuff, and that's because Jared Kushner, Trump, and everything, they have a lot of business dealings with Israel, and obviously Jared Kushner is Jewish as well. So Kennedy saying, my dad is a Fox News fan. He said he would vote for Andrew Yang. Yeah, the support the right wing are giving Andrew Yang is really weird to me. I don't know how to feel about it. So Veronica saying, hi Veronica, thanks for joining. Veronica saying, people's minds have been changed by Bernie's town hall, but he's going out there still. Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of people did change because the way he spoke in that was really good, and I think, like you're saying, he's also going out there, which is really good because he doesn't think that's all you have to do. Like Mayor Pete is probably going to go on Fox News and think he's done his job. Andrew Yang is a white nationalist as well as Tulsi Gabbard. I'd like some more evidence for the Tulsi Gabbard one. I don't think Andrew Yang is a white nationalist, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have some racist beliefs. If he dog whistles a lot to the right wing, talking about the white people being replaced and stuff in America, I didn't really like that when I read it on Twitter, and I saw it in real time because I follow Andrew Yang on Twitter. Kennedy saying, yeah, Mac, they definitely have some weird nationalist elements in their rhetoric. Can I see some Tulsi stuff, please? I wasn't aware of this, because I'll make a video of it soon. Izzy Sanchez saying, I blocked Fox News channel with a pin, so I don't access it. Yes, that's good. Incel adjacent, Candy. Yeah, I think he's been memed a lot. Prankishire saying, I saw one poll with Bernie in the lead, followed by Warren and Booty edge, or Butt edge. Biden was at 4th with only 9%. Let's hope that's how it goes. I feel like all Beto's momentum has been really stolen. Like, they've obviously chose Mayor Pete as their backup over Beto because he feels like so irrelevant now. No one seems to be talking about him as much. Is he wanting to do the same to Fox News? They're not white. Yeah, I know but they're nationalists. I wouldn't say white nationalists is a good point, but people saying Tulsi has ties to the BJP in India, which are Hindu nationalists. Nancy Pelosi is Italian and Chuck Schumer is Jewish. Yeah, I know. I assumed Pelosi was Italian from her name, and I knew Chuck Schumer was Jewish. Mac, is Gabbard really white nationalist? I mean, she's brown. Yeah, that's what I was just saying there. Izzy Sanchez, that and more with Palestine, Syria, and Yemen. The Yemen stuff is not exclusive to Trump. It's just become worse. Like, Obama did the exact same thing. I have no doubt Hillary Clinton would do the exact same thing. In terms of Syria, I don't think Trump has really done much to make that worse or better. He's largely stayed out of it, apart from the 2 bombings, which really didn't do anything. And he said he's going to pull his troops out, and he tried to pull some out. So it's mainly the Palestine and Israel issue, and maybe Iran is the big one too. Yeah, I'm asking people, can I have evidence of Tulsi being nationalist or some sort of racist, which people are saying. Trump is Scottish and Bernie is Jewish, yep. And Bernie's Polish as well. Tulsi is a superhero goddess, Marvel Universe. Yang's UBI, the poor right wingers like that. What do people think of UBI? I was thinking about making a video on it. It seems to be like the last attempt to save capitalism and stuff. Oh, okay, bye Prankishire. You'll have to stove on. See you later. Do people think UBI is just to prop up capitalism and prop up the free market system at the moment? That's what I'm thinking it is, like prop up consumer capitalism and everything. So Izzy Sanchez saying Andrew Yang might be a Republican plant. I hope not, because I like the guy. I don't think he's a Republican plant, but I don't think he's a Democrat, and I think he comes from a more like capitalist business mindset. He's got sort of like a smart Donald Trump in a way. So Kennedy saying Tulsi is more isolationist and takes her to a lot of places. Maybe that's why she gets a lot of support on the right wing who pretend they're isolationist. Bernie is my dude 2020. Evan saying a good ref to the problems in the Middle East is how Trump is supporting the military coup in Libya, along with Putin, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE over the UN. It's predictable but still terrifying. Maybe he's promised them to help get deals and stuff in Libya. I don't know if Libya has much oil though. Tulsi has ties to BJP in India. Yeah. Who does it? Okay, Veronica. What does Okay, I think you. What's the truth for Tulsi then? If she doesn't have ties to the BJP, is it some other group or she just doesn't have them? Yeah, isolationism is like what the US was between World War One and World War Two, isn't it? Evan saying 200 people have already died in the conflict in Libya as it controls a lot of the oil of the West. Just want to strongly depend on oil. Yeah, that's probably why they kept Gaddafi around for a while, even when they got rid of Saddam. Yeah, Beto had no momentum. He raised but I think like people aren't even talking about Beto anymore. Is my main point. Like they don't see him as the right candidate that they want to use to bore us all with. So that's it. Just because she's Hindu, did she get a picture with Modi or something? Is that why people are reading more into that? Yeah, thanks, Chol, for telling me for nationalities, everyone. Izzy, he used a big bomb in. It was in Afghanistan. He used the big bomb, isn't it? The Mob bomb, the mother of all bombs. Yeah, it was like 1 km radius explosion, which is insane, isn't it? Kennedy saying Veronica, she's taking money from far right groups on the ground in India. Someone get some links in here so we can decide. So creepy Jigglypuff saying UBI can be a good, but a VAT tax is kind of regressive. So more people chiming in on UBI. So he also says UBI might eliminate homelessness through communal living, which I would support. I don't really know how that would work. I guess if everyone pulled their resources together, but we talk about how bad the Soviet Union was in the 30s and you had to share apartments and shit. I don't really think that's the best way for a modern society to work. People are pooling their money together to buy basic necessities or housing. So Max saying, for the record, I like Tulsi and kind of like Yang. I just wanted to make the ridiculous claim that these non-whites are somehow white nationalists and see how the reaction would be. Well, Mac, in Get Out by Jordan Peele, there's an Asian man in the crowd buying like the slaves and stuff, which I thought was interesting. I was reading more into it, and people were saying that a lot of the time, I was talking about this last time, I think, a lot of the time they think Asians are complicit in white supremacy against black people, and like it benefits them or something. Saying like, and I was talking about like the OJ Simpson context is a black teenage girl was shot by a Korean store owner because she came in asking directions and stuff. So I think maybe that's what, if people were trying to be serious about that without being disingenuous, I think that's a point maybe they might be trying to use. So Jorge is saying, I think Bernie's going to win the popular vote in the primaries, but with less than 50% of the vote, probably 40%, the DNC might have no choice to go with him or might not. If he doesn't win the majority, does it go down to the delegates and stuff? And they're saying that's how they'll screw him out of it. If they screw him out of it, I think it will be like a massive... It will cause so much trouble. I think if they screw him out of the nomination, I think, Trump's going to win, no question. Even depending, no matter who the candidate is, who's going to win. So, Veronica saying, yes, UBI to save capitalism. Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I don't like Yang's take. He's not for the minimum wage, and he would give the UBI to people on benefits. And he wouldn't give the UBI to people on benefits. Yeah, that was another thing. When I had an interview with Joy on Real Progressive, she was saying something similar, which if that's the case, then why would you support that? Because the people with benefit, because you're all so greedy, you want $1,000 if you don't need it, so the people who need it will only get $1,000 when they need more. So Jorge asked me, do I think people should have the right to vote while in jail? In the context of America, I definitely do, because there's so many people in jail for the dumbest things, like the war on drugs and stuff. And, they have the right, they've been screwed over so much, I'd say they still have the right to vote. And it's amazing that, like, the US prison population is so massive that it is a significant factor in getting a prison vote. That shouldn't be the case, So that's just another thing someone was pointing out on Twitter. Like, this is why it's so crazy, because it should be like, we'll give them the right to vote, but it should be irrelevant because not that many people should be in prison anyway. But because so many people are in prison in America, I think it's the most people in prison in the whole world, isn't it? Or something like that. I don't know if China counts with the concentration camps it has for the, what are they called again, the Uyghur Muslims or something like that. But in terms of like a normal prison system, it has the most people in prison. So yeah, I do support it in America's case, I guess. Maybe not in Britain's case, but it depends really. Maybe there's a different for the level of the crime. If you get life or something super violent and stuff, maybe not. But in terms of like stuff where you'd be out, maybe. Sorry, itchy. So Veronica's asking, how is Tulsi isolationist? She has said no regime change wars. Tulsi met with one Hindu leader who Obama met, and she's never going to be able to hear the ending of it. Is this Hindu leader Modi by any chance? That's who I'm wondering. So progressive isolationism sounds eerie similar to National Socialism. No, Kennedy, I'd say isolationism. Isolationism. Yeah, I can't say it. Isolationism, in terms of isolation. You put isolation. Oh, I did say it right. In terms of being progressive, look at the Scandinavian countries, which are way more inward looking. So you can be like inward looking and focus your economy more on progressive policies and more socialist policies. That's how it would work, rather than being. I don't think the Nazis were really inward looking a lot of the time, more outward looking, trying to get all the Germans in Europe under one banner. You didn't say anything other than the Hindu ties, not even in the US. Tulsi voted against taking in refugees from Syria after calling up Obama to drop more bombs on them. Yeah, I have read stuff about her voting for pro-war stuff, more pro-war than Bernie, which is obviously not great if you want to be the anti-war candidate. Sorry, just researching some stuff. So the dissident is saying, I don't think either are really nationalists, but I think they may have a certain bias. I think Tulsi has issues when it comes to Islam, and Yang maybe with the black community. Well, Yang is obviously caught in like alt-right nationalist votes with the stuff he's saying. Like Electoral College, who does that affect if you get rid of that? It's white, like rural voters, isn't it? Having a bigger say when they should have. And that's why he's appealing to that. And then he's talking about, white people being replaced in their own country. Obviously, who are you appealing to with that sort of language? Charles saying, Winston Churchill was half American and English. Was he actually? I should know that. Mac is... yeah, Mac's just saying what I'm saying about isolationism and progressivism and progressive policies going together. Veronica saying, Obama and Modi were friends. He called Modi in his last tweet, told him he would miss him. No one's talking about that, so Tulsi went to foreign leader and actually a Hindu nationalist. Veronica, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, if you willingly meet with a Hindu nationalist and all the shit that Modi's done, like he's done some crap. When he was a governor, he let a race riot run like rage against these Muslims, where loads of Muslims were lynched. Since he's become the leader, lynchings against Muslims have gone up so much because of his Hindu nationalist rhetoric and all these laws, like laws against eating beef and shit like that. So for her to meet him, she's a congresswoman, right? There's not really a reason for her to really meet him. I don't know if she was there for like a diplomatic visit or something, but just because she's Indian, I don't think that excuses it. It's like when Mesut Ozil and İlkay Gündoğan, who are two footballers who play for the German national team, met with President Erdogan, and the people in Germany were so angry. Like, they actually fired them both from the national team before bringing them back just before the World Cup, because they're like, how can you say you represent Germany but meet these two people, meet this leader, and get a photo of him when he's obviously like a horrible, brutal leader. So I can understand why people might like it, but it doesn't mean she supports his policies and is a Hindu nationalist, but she shouldn't have met him anyway if it wasn't for any diplomatic reason. Oh, Kennedy's saying, she meant the US in its isolationist period did inspire and influence the Nazis. Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, I think that is not because of the isolationism. It's more just because that's just what America was like back then. Well, Izzy, apparently UBI is meant to stimulate the economy because it stimulates consumer spending, which is the argument like the capitalists use for it. Because, capitalists wouldn't really advocate for, throwing around free money unless it benefited them. So Richard Nixon was mostly from Ulster. Oh, I didn't know that. I hope you're not lying. Veronica saying, Asians don't like Africans, plus in the USA the Asians are often richer, so they have Republican sentiments. That's quite similar to the UK in terms of the Indian population. Lots of Indians vote Conservative here, because they've done better than a lot of other immigrant groups. Mac, I think I made a video on it about how the US inspired Nazi Germany. It's more about like the racist ideology and the racial law in the US, as well as like things like Manifest Destiny that inspired Hitler and the Nazis, rather than how National Socialism came to dominate Germany after the war. So, for example, Nazi lawyers and judges came to the US in the 30s when they seized power in Germany to study how to implement this law, because they thought America, rather than South Africa, was the best example of society based on race law, and they wanted to take what they learned from there and bring it back home. So Kennedy's saying, there was a piece written by an Asian man who used to write for Breitbart about accepting that he didn't fit into white supremacy. So was he saying he was a white supremacist, but obviously he doesn't fit in because he's not white himself? So is he saying the Republicans being in power is keeping the US in the modern day dark ages? Yeah, that's true. I can't believe you have a president who essentially doesn't believe in climate change and a party that controls most of the power that doesn't believe in climate change. It's truly like fucking mental, isn't it? Like how can people be okay with that? At least the Conservatives in this country pretend they're doing more for the climate than they actually are, because I know, you know, people aren't idiot. Well, generally, people aren't extremely stupid in this country, but they are. Hi, the boss, Salah New. Sorry, I'm really behind on the chat. 7 minutes behind. Sorry about this. Sorry, I'm late. No problem. School to prison pipeline. Yeah, and that's a good argument for why you should have prisoners voting. Hi, Michael. So Michael saying, if the Dems screw Sanders, as obviously they did last time, they will lose, but no doubt they'll blame millennials again. If you vote, so he's asking me, I voted Conservative in 2015. I did. What do I think of Bernie back in 2015? Well, I went on my liked videos, and I've liked the video of the Young Turks talking about him when he first announced, and he was polling at like 1% or even lower. So I must have always liked him. I liked him. I think I always did like him. That's probably thanks to the Young Turks telling me about him. So Creepy Jigglypuff saying, what do I think of automation and a job guarantee as opposed to basic income to try and circumvent it? I honestly don't know enough about that, Jigglypuff. What do you think about it? Because I don't really know loads about it. I know Andrew Yang was obviously talking about the automation of various industries. I don't know about the job guarantee, what that essentially means. Like, obviously, on the surface, I know what it means, but how it's implemented. There's a great article in the Jacobin called Tulsi Gabbard is not your friend, and I really recommend it. It's what made me realise I couldn't support her anymore. Yeah, let me have a look. I won't read it all. Read some more comments. So Evan saying UBI undermines benefits. Wouldn't society just evolve around it? Prices going up. I seriously don't understand how it would work. So I think it's just more money. People have more money to spend, so it stimulates the economy and props up like capitalism and stuff. Like props up consumer brands. Props up, like in Andrew Yang's perfect world, it props up like mom and pop shops and stuff like that. Churchill was half American. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So is he saying we need minimum wage to scale in proportion with the cost of living? Yeah, but wages have been so stagnant. So Veronica saying he's also president of the country, so I'm not supporting her meeting of him specifically, and she's not Indian, but others have done it. Why is she only used to discredit Tulsi? Wait, she isn't Indian, but she's Hindu. She is Indian. I swear she's Indian. Most Hindus are Indian. Is Tulsi Gabbard Indian? Oh yeah, just to let everyone know, if this stream freezes again like it did last time, I'm just going to switch to my phone, but I will be back. She says she's proud to be the first Hindu American to run for president. But it's kind of weird. Sorry, I'm just researching is she Indian or not. Here we go, just go on Wikipedia. Tulsi Gabbard, like, early life. That's interesting. So she's Samoan, not she's Samoan but Hindu. That is really weird. Oh, she chose it when she was Hindu. Okay, thanks, Veronica, for educating me. She chose her religion. She chose Hinduism. That is super strange to me. For a religion that's based so much in India, it's kind of strange. But, you know, whatever. Well, it says her parents are Carol Porter and Mike Gabbard. And Mike Gabbard, I don't know if he's Indian. He looks Samoan as well. He's born in American Samoa. So he wasn't. There's nothing about her mum. Yeah, sorry, I don't. Sorry for getting that wrong. I thought she was just because I assumed because she was Hindu, she was Indian. But then that's also weird because Hindu nationalists believe that only Hindus can only be Indian, which is so strange that she has Hindu nationalist support. The British Empire, Chol, how did the British Empire have an influence on the Nazis? I don't know anything about that, but I don't assume they would too much, because Germany was just as racist as Britain, and it had its own empire in the colonial period, but... So Kennedy thinking isolationist capitalism goes hand in hand with nationalist rhetoric, they can't be separated. So what do you think of Norway and Iceland and Scandinavian countries that do a sort of socialism/capitalism model that's more isolationist? Izzy, that's weird, having Asian friends that vote Republican that are progressive. How does that even work? The article based on... this is the Asian article. The article basically talked about realizing that he was actually an Asian American man, and that meant something. It wasn't just his... Okay, that's interesting then. But it's a good article. I need to check that out. Gerrymandering kept Republicans in power. Yeah, and lack of education. So vibrantly, Brantley saying, I live in the US and ignorance is bliss. Red Meridian saying, better late but never, boy. Oh, thanks for joining you too. Darlene saying, Tulsi was on Foreign Affairs Committee, so it's a job to meet with foreign dignitaries. Okay, thanks. I'm not really criticising her for meeting Modi if it was an official capacity and stuff. Margaret Thatcher actually took climate change seriously. Yeah, Britain's been a lot better with it than America, that's for sure. But in New York, Asians have the highest rate of poverty, so they're not really conservative, but it does depend on the generation. I guess those countries are quite conservative anyway, aren't they? Tulsi's not your friend. Okay, I'll check out the article later. I'm making my mind up. The gays don't like Tulsi. Well, yeah, not surprising gay people don't like Tulsi after, what her dad was like and what he sort of indoctrinated her into. Yeah, you can forgive it. I'm not saying you have to hold everyone to that standard. Hillary Clinton, lots of gay people voted for her. She's not particularly great on gay issues, and Barack Obama as well. So creepy Jigglypuff saying Yang is recognising the threat of automation and trying to help transition with basic income. Sanders believes there's enough work to be done fixing the infrastructure. They're both good points, actually. America's infrastructure is really fucked over, isn't it? Like a place like Alabama, which the UN said is one of the worst areas of poverty in the developed world. So Laura saying her father is Samoan and European, an active lector at the Catholic Church. Her mother, who was born in Indiana, is of German descent and practicing Hindu. Tulsi chose to be Hindu. Maybe her mum is half Indian. But if they're all like... no relation to India and Hindu, that's interesting. It's quite odd. Is he saying, do I think many of her supporters, Tulsi supporters, are supporting her for being attractive? I don't think so. I don't think she's like stunning. She is good looking and stuff. But I don't think that is a reason for most of it. Yeah, Matt, you made a good point. It's pretty crazy people try to attack Tulsi for being anti-gay when she was 17. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton wasn't for gay marriage until 2013, and people on the left just ignore that. Exactly, it's double standard, isn't it? I'd love to see Joe Biden's voting record on gay rights. Tulsi's dad was Hindu, mum was Catholic. Yeah, I never said she was a Hindu nationalist, and I never believed it, but people saying she had ties to it. I haven't done my research as much. Okay, people in the comments, Evan asked, what do I think of Tulsi as vice president? Who would be the ideal vice president to Bernie? So I think Tulsi would be better as Secretary of Defense, maybe. Yeah, Secretary of Defense, like directly overseeing the military. Should be okay as vice president, but I think, she's a better candidate to actually work in the government rather than be vice president. Yeah, a lot of them are, like Sweden, for example, is dealing with its problems with nationalism, but, would you say Sweden's worse than America, which isn't isolationist at all? I'd say America's way worse, and Germany. Yeah, but the mum isn't from India, Laura, I think I was reading on the wiki, unless she was an immigrant from India to Germany or something. Andrew Jackson was a Democrat. Yeah, but Democrats used to be the racist ones. Yeah, that's true, Red Meridian. She resigned as co-chair of the DNC, wasn't it? And she to support Bernie and everything. I'm by like Tulsi. Yeah, of course. Like, she said those things when she was a young person. Everyone changes. That's fine. And her apology was sincere and everything, so that was good. So Izzy thinks it's going to come down to Biden, Sanders, and Harris. I'd say Biden, Sanders, and Warren, I think. So Kennedy's saying there are too many things about Tulsi that don't add up. She speaks out on both sides of her mouth. She's not strong enough on domestic issues, and she isn't actually anti-war, she says. Boo. Yeah, well, she definitely isn't as anti-war, she says, if her voting record is not as good as Bernie on being anti-war. Michael was saying Joe Biden's voting record on gay rights is bad. Yeah, but I doubt he'll be held to the same standard everyone's trying to hold Tulsi to. Most of the best presidents have been Republicans, like Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt. Okay, Teddy Roosevelt was not one of the best presidents. Eisenhower was not one of the best presidents. Scholars think it's George Washington, FDR, and Lincoln, and I'd say FDR is definitely the best president. Teddy Roosevelt, like imperialist, he did some good things, right? But he's held up way too high in my opinion. His cousin's better, FDR. So is he saying Tulsi's definitely not trustworthy? She just came out of nowhere. Well, she didn't come out of nowhere. Like, I knew who she was for a while, but she's a young congresswoman. Like, she didn't come out of nowhere essentially, and she just started running for president. She stood by Bernie in 2016. She resigned from her post and stuff. But yeah, I'd still say Bernie's better. Kennedy's saying the half decent candidates are Bernie and Warren. Warren is a distant second. I don't mind Warren, but obviously she used to be a Republican. At least she did call it out, like how she realised the Republicans were didn't help with anyone. Max saying all these people within the left publishing articles attacking Tulsi for this or slamming her online, never addressed this shit. Hillary got the endorsement from the Human Rights Council. Yeah, I do think it's double standard. Hillary wasn't scrutinised on this much stuff as much. I do remember it a bit, but not as much as Tulsi. So Red Meridian saying Secretary of Defense for Tulsi is ideal, but Cheney created a president of the Veep being actively involved in the military and also Veep is president of the Senate. Yeah, that's true as well. There's more power, but I still say Secretary of Defense. So Kennedy's saying communists don't like Tulsi. We don't have to. Bernie is our candidate. Sorry. And then Izzy saying Bernie has fought for decades and his record speaks for himself. He's a true progressive without any comparison. Yeah. Lincoln was better than FDR. No. Max saying the biggest LGBT organisation endorses Tulsi. And asking if you're a communist. Bernie Warren might work. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. But Warren done him dirty in 2016. Have you heard about the rigging in California recently for the delegate primary? Progressives won the majority, but Supergate tried to cheat. Now there's been a regular election. No, I haven't heard that. It's honestly not surprising, though, after 2016. So Evan saying Lincoln just took a bunch of credit for the abolition of slavery and was still incredibly racist and saw black people as second-class citizens. Yeah, I don't hold Lincoln up to a high standard on his opinion of black people, because, I don't think many Americans would view black people as equal, but at the same time, he did do something good, and people think if he wasn't assassinated, Reconstruction might have been a lot better rather than just being slavery by another name. So Jordan saying, I left and will watch you to instead to show support. Okay, thank you. Red Meridian saying, oh, sorry, just want someone else. So Kennedy saying she used to be Republican, so I get that. There'll be no communist shaming in this chat. There's nothing wrong with being a communist. Creepy Jigglypuff saying, how bad do you think things have to get for people to finally take to the streets in a meaningful way? I honestly don't know, to be honest. Americans are so ridiculous. Like, there's so many of Americans are so brainwashed. I think it would, like, how are they not taking to the streets already about Trump? Like, especially the poorest right-wing Americans. I don't understand how much more it needs to take. Like, literally letting someone loot the country and help, do nothing, which might lead to the destruction of the planet because America is such a big polluter. I find that so crazy, to be honest. Most racist presidents have been Democrats. Yep. Have you forgot about Donald Trump, both Bushes, Nixon, and Reagan, who were super racist when racism wasn't common? Racist presidents in who were born in the mid 1860s or whatever, or 1870s, like Wilson or Johnson being president in the 60s and 1860s, Andrew Jackson in the 1840s. Is it 1840s Andrew Jackson? Yeah, if they're racist, whatever. And also Dixiecrats were the racist ones which switched to the Republicans after civil rights was passed. So the racist Democrats around in the 60s switched parties to the Republicans, and the Republicans are the racist party. They have been since the 1950s. So, Dissident saying, I don't mind Tulsi, but she flat out said she wasn't anti-war during the Kim Irvison interview. She talked about a threat, so what I got from her, she'd be okay drone in place she felt threatened. I think what most people need to realise is every US president is not going to end war. It's just not going to happen. And, Bernie would probably be the best, but you saw with Jimmy Carter what happens when the American people doesn't get what they want. Oh, cheers, Mac. Thanks for the donation. See you later as well. Cheers for tuning in for as long as you did. Yeah, thanks a lot for the donation, though. Sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, so you got Jimmy Carter being anti-war, unconventional anti-war president in many instances, not perfect, obviously. And then what is the response? Some of the most insane pro-war president of all time, Ronald Reagan, literally madman, comes in straight afterwards, and Americans think that's a good idea. They think it's such a good idea that there's Reagan Democrats who elected him, and he won in a landslide in his second election. It's fucking insane. Izzy saying, I didn't know about Tulsi at all, just like Booty Leg, and the other guy who I forgot the name of because his name makes me sleepy. Sleepy Joe or Beto. So Red Meridian saying Nina would be a great vice president as well, but with a commitment to the revolution, our revolution, it would make a political target. Yeah, a lot of people said Nina in my comments and stuff. The majority of historians put Lincoln first and FDR second. Yeah, well, I think FDR is better. So, fuck you. Sorry. Red Meridian saying, isms are tools, neither good nor bad, save how they're used. I think people are too strict. I talked about this before, about ideologies and stuff. Like, they cling to ideology too much. That's why I don't really define myself as anything. Creepy Jigglypuff, you're on my top 10 YouTube bread tubers. Oh, thanks, Creepy Jigglypuff. Are there even that many, though? Like, who comes ahead of me? I won't be offended, I promise. Ronald Reagan was way more racist. Well, not way more, but I'd say he was more racist than Margaret Thatcher. And he wasn't radical, he was just crazy. So Red Meridian said, we don't need to end the military-industrial complex. We need it to be the space-industrial complex for the far future. Do you mean a space military force or just a general, exploratory force or something? So Izzy saying, there's one more Schopenhauer, something like that. That's his name. Oh, okay. Now I can see anything about the guy's name. So Evan saying, do you believe a violent revolution is the answer, Kennedy? And, okay, she says, sorry for fighting my chat. No, it's fine. You can say what you want. Kennedy saying, even though I think that might have to happen, I don't think we're anywhere near that. Is he saying Reagan was racist? He had a lot of policies that went against minorities, and he's just generally fucking racist anyway. Jordan saying, watched anti-white nationalist protests today in response to a scheduled nationalist event. The nationalists didn't show up, and in the chat there was a ton of Nazis saying honk. Yeah, that's fucked up. I guess that's referenced in Charlottesville when Heather, sorry, I forgot her name. Heather something was killed. I should know her name. I mean a Starfleet. Do you mean a militarized space force? So that's what I don't want. Sorry, just gonna open my iTunes. Heather Haya, yeah. Bill Clinton was low-key racist. I don't even think it was low-key. Sorry, just having someone tweet. Sorry. He did the crime bill, yeah. Benjamin said, we must guard against acquisition of the unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower, a warning for the future. Isn't that... I always like that quote. Isn't it such a great quote that one of the most high-profile generals of World War II and a two-term US president said that about the military-industrial complex? And look at presidents today. I love how Republican, history of their, or they pretend it is, only goes back to Reagan. Like, when do Republicans ever mention Eisenhower? Because they know he would absolutely hate what their party is. Whether Reagan unleashed craziness in the US, I think he might have been one of the most destructive presidents until Trump in terms of the cultural influence. So is he saying to Cho Choi, whatever the fuck his name is, before you comment, do you research anything? It sounds like you just troll the chat. So he's saying, Cho Choi saying, which president was the least racist? Probably Obama, I guess. Not just because he's black, but I mean just in terms of policies. Maybe, because he's the most modern president, the youngest president, in terms of when he was born. So it makes sense that he'd be least racist. And he also, African American, understands racism a lot better than every other president. Yeah, who else would you put over Obama? Yeah, but Creepy Jigglypuff, Obama didn't kill so many people because they were not, a different race. You know what I mean? Yeah, Jordan, the Eisenhower stuff, obviously he was bad for, he threatened to nuke North Korea when he came in, saying, that was the way to end the war. And then, obviously all that stuff at the border he did, like cleaning migrants and, chemicals and shit. It's really messed up. So Void Puppy saying, Republicans make up their own history. Most of them deny the party switch ever happened. Yeah, there was the Democrats are the racist ones. Democrats are the racist ones. No, all the racist Democrats left to join you lot. It's so... Just, seeing, Charlie Kirk's tweets and stuff. I'm like, do you actually believe this shit? Or are you just, know that your audience are so dumb? How was Jimmy Carter the least racist, though? I still doubt that, because he's 90 years old, and he's a white guy. So Evan's saying you can't quantify racism. You're either racist or you're not. I know you can't quantify racism, really, but at the same time, you can still be more understanding of race issues than others, and you can be a bit ignorant, which can border on racism sometimes. So Webster's Dictionary should add alternative facts as a new meaning for lying. Yeah, I don't even know. I love Metal Gear Solid 2 for protecting this mess we're in, just the age of fake information and fake news. I just can't understand what is wrong. It's not just an American issue, but it is wrong with so many people believe in fake news, and how I think, not that my mum is very political, but I think she would be a good target for it sometimes. Because some of the videos she watches on YouTube, conspiracy ones, I had to tell her, yeah, that's probably not, legit and stuff, and it's not true. So maybe don't, pay a lot of attention to it. But, yeah, it is, it's boomers, mainly, isn't it, who, share all this fake shit. So just, no, give me a shuffle. Nice. Alright, there we go. Bam. So, Chol saying, Jimmy Carter appointed more minorities than ever than it was taboo in the 70s. Yeah, I guess that's true, but I don't know. I still don't think it's more of an Obama. So Jordan saying, I think there's varying levels of racism from bias to genocidal. Yeah, there's various levels of racism, definitely. So, a lot of it's implicit in our society and stuff, how we view certain groups, the stereotypes about them. Why do I constantly believe every problem today is because of racism? I don't believe every problem is because of racism. I don't know when I ever said that. I'm just saying there's a lot of crazy racist people in the US sharing fake news and stuff. So Ben Jones saying, I'm no fan of Republican presidents or Eisenhower, but at least I can admit he did some good things. He also implemented a 90% marginal tax rate, which he gave the US arguably its best economy. And that's why Republicans hate him so much, is because when AOC talks about a tax rate that's less than that, they're like, oh, this is crazy socialism. But then it's like a Republican president and a pretty popular one, like legendary general, did it as well. So Zephan saying, every US president was racist, take it from Native Americans. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Like, no US president has treated natives fairly, have they? So Kennedy's saying, fake news is what happens when news is made for profit. Yeah, exactly, but it's also made to manipulate people. It's just like stupid fucking memes that people make that become fake news. So Evan's agreeing, saying the news is kind of fake anyway because it's all for profit, which is why I'm often shocked at how fair Sky News is. Yeah, but what did Sky News do recently that was really ridiculous? Like, it had such a bad week last week. Oh yeah, a landlord was having a go at someone who was protesting like landlords like extortion on Sky News, and then a landlord news presenter was having a massive go at her, and oh my god, it was so awkward to watch and so bad. Yeah, but Cho, how is Obama's foreign policy in the Middle East racist? Can you explain to me how it's racist? So Evan saying, I don't think people believe the fake news, but they're looking for validation. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Their beliefs, which is considered to be dog whistles and craziness. Creepy Jigglypuff, I actually made a video like a year and a half ago talking about my pitch if I was running for president. You can go check it out. Wait, I'm going to go grab it quick. I'm going to go in the chat. Yeah, I think he's just trolling. Maybe he's, what's his name? Who's that guy who was trolling last couple of weeks? Rational Voice. So, here is my videos on what I would do if I was president. People want to save it for later. But I would probably have a lot of updated views today. Because I did make these over a year ago. Maybe even in 2017, or maybe just the start of 2018. Sorry, one sec. 1, 2. There we go. Sorry, my YouTube is playing music. Sorry, back to the comments. I see the Rational Voice everywhere now. He's so annoying. Oh, you see him all over left of YouTube saying stupid shit. Okay, so that's his strategy of getting out of not getting his channel out there, just being really fucking annoying. I think it has the a bad effect because I just don't even want to look at his stuff anymore. Yeah, but Candace Owen is just a sellout, isn't she? She's just a black person who's pretending racism doesn't exist to get profit from right wingers who want some validation that they're not racist and shit like that. So James Gunningham saying, have you heard of the France 2014 75% super tax on incomes over 1 million? No, I haven't heard of that. But there was a French actor who got Russian citizenship. He's quite famous. I forgot what his name is. And he did that because Russia's tax rate is like 12% for really rich people or something like that. Yeah, major grifter. I like that shirt. What shirt did I have in it? Wait, I'll check. What shirt was I wearing? What? I made it in 2017 when I was really starting on YouTube like early. Oh, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. It's weird seeing videos of yourself like not that long ago, but when you're young, it feels like you age a lot quick. Do I like Frankie Boyle? I don't really follow him, to be honest, or watch him. I know he says some funny stuff and some good stuff, but at the same time, not massive. Can we list the top 5 worst Democratic candidates? What, in terms of this year or this cycle? I guess we can. Joe Biden. Joe Biden, top 1. Easy. Joe Biden's the worst candidate. Mayor Pete, second. Actually, he's tied for second with Beto O'Rourke, but I can't really tell them apart. So when Beto O'Rourke, Kamala Harris, that Klobuchar lady, but I don't know anything about her. I'll just stick her above Harris. There you go. There's my 5. Biden, Pete or Beto, Klobuchar, Harris. I honestly don't know anyone else who's running, really. So, Kenny's saying, I have terrible cover videos on YouTube when I was a teenager and I found that channel a few months back. Yikes. Yeah, everyone has embarrassing shit like that. There's videos of me on Facebook that I wish could take down. It's funny seeing old stuff. I always told my sister when she was younger, don't make really cringy stuff because you'll just regret it when you're older. I was like, even if you think it's a good idea. So, Lol or Lou L. Any tips for us Americans how to talk to friends that don't like Bernie? It's so frustrating. Anyone in the comments can help out with that. I don't know Americans, like, how am I trying to talk to people who have very different beliefs and stuff is you got to find some common ground and then move the conversation to what you want. So, for example, if you're talking about a Trump supporter, right? And when you ask them, like, do you think anti-war is good and stuff, or whatever like that, and then you got to bring the conversation about how Trump's in bed with Saudi Arabia, Israel, he's perpetrating more conflict, then you got to work around to Bernie is the only candidate, blah, blah, blah. Or then if you talk about, like, taxes and income, like someone's wages, that's the way you got to spin the conversation to being like, Bernie Sanders is the only one proposing this, this, and this. I think that's the way you got to do it, really. You got to find common ground. Find something you can both agree on first, and maybe even, like, pretend a bit. You're like, oh, yeah, like, Trump's good for this, but he's not as good as blah, blah, blah. I think that's a way to address it, but, you know, at the same time, it's, a hard one. I don't know the ignorance of a general American is, especially if they're proper right-wing. So, Veronica saying in her top 5 is Biden, Booty Judge, Beto, and Klobuchar. Yeah, pretty similar to me. Izzy saying Booker, Biden, Hopper, O'Rourke, Klobuchar, Booty Leg. Yeah, well, we all were pretty similar ones. Kennedy saying Biden, Klobuchar, Pete, Harris, Beto. Yep, or Harris and Beto are interchangeable. I think Beto and Pete are interchangeable. Do I like any Republicans? No, I hate them all. No joke. Any decent Republicans? Like John Kasich seemed alright, but he just seems like traditional Republican, but doesn't mean I like him. He just seems sane. So Red Meridian saying 60 Fortune 500 corporations spent no tax in America and got rebates. Yeah, Activision, which is a massive video game publisher that obviously like exploits people for its like loot box and stuff. They paid no tax and then they got a rebate. They got paid for like doing all that shit. It's crazy. So can you make a video on how ridiculous the length of campaigns are in the US? It needs to be regulated. Over a year before the election is ridiculous. Yeah, you make a really good point actually. It is like, is there laws in the UK about it? I think there are laws because you don't hear about them for ages. Like the last couple months, like last 3 months leading up to it. They definitely should, but obviously the money in politics, like they spend so much money in elections. I think politicians secretly like it. So Zephan saying Mayor Pete is worse. I'm from Indiana. His record as mayor of South Bend is high key racist. Yeah, I was linking that article in the last chat. It is pretty bad. Is he saying Trump supporters act like they're in a cult? Even if trying to talk with common ground, they push the facts and still support Trump. Yeah, Trump supporters are like a cult because how can you believe such an insane con man? He's obviously so corrupt and so stupid. Would be the best leader for you or like even care about you? Why would someone who's born with a silver spoon care about any of you? Like, I know there are some politicians, like the Kennedys, for example, they're the same, but if they were, like, super smart, I guess, like, it was instilled for them to be politicians and be powerful, maybe that's why they did it. Whereas people like Donald Trump, it's like, the only reason he became president is to help his business. And he believes literally he's the smartest man in the world because he's such a narcissist. So Ben Jamin saying, I've been thinking, 1, Biden, by far, 2, Beto, Booty Judge, Biden, Beto second, Booty Judge third, Klobuchar fourth, and Kamala fifth. Yeah, we're all pretty in agreement. Evan saying Mike Gravel 2020. Yeah, but that's not really realistic, you know. So Veronica saying, those against Bernie are just so much into the mainstream. I am most disappointed in my friends who claim to be anti-Trump but don't like Bernie because he's old. Yeah, there's a lot of ageism going around. It's like, but it doesn't apply to Biden for some reason, just to Bernie, like he's too old. You know, we're living in a different age now. People live a lot longer, and obviously he's mentally healthy. He's not like Trump, who legit is insane, even though he's a lot younger. Not a lot younger, but a bit younger than Bernie. Beto is better than Pete. At least he's critical of Israel. Yeah, but you met with AIPAC as well, and talked about how great the meeting was. Uh, yeah, Izzy, I get it too. There's some people like one of my friends. He's never been to politics, but he's quite right wing. And just like nothing I will say to him stays in his head. Like he's not like confrontational about it. Like he won't fight me on anything, but I just can't change his mind. I don't know. You're just created by your environment, really, and sometimes there's no helping people. People got to learn on their own, really. It's the only way. Who's more right wing, Republicans or UKIP? Republicans, definitely. UKIP are very right wing, but they're not really comparable. Republicans are like insane death cult right wing bootlickers of capitalism, love the wealthy, white supremacists. UKIP's not exactly the same, but it is pretty bad. Izzy, people actually do think that. Many Trump supporters see Trump like he's a Jesus, the second coming. They literally think God put him on earth to become their president and lead them to like be close to God. Like I see so much shit about him being the most Christian president. Are you cognitive dissonance is already inherent in religion, but how can you be that crazy and think Jesus, who told rich people to give away all their money, how do you think he would like Trump and be okay with that? There's actually like American Christianity. I need to make a video on it. There's a special blend of American Christianity, which is just so much worse than like secular Christianity in like the UK or Western Europe and stuff. Like it's literally insane. Like I already think religion's insane, but this is even worse. Yeah, my Gravel was a meme, but he's not offensive to me. Yeah, he's not offensive to me either, but I don't take him seriously. So Charles saying Charlie Baker is the last Liberal Republican left. Well, I don't know who these are, but I doubt it. I bet they still voted for most Trump stuff, or stuff like people like Trump putting forward. Yeah, it would be good to get Gravel in debates, but I don't think you can get in them really. Is he saying many Trump supporters just want to see minorities like me to be kicked out? Yeah, that's another good point as well. A lot of them are just super racist, and Trump just, validates their racism or something. But America's always been super racist. It's just gone under the surface a bit, and now it's really come to the fore again. So Michael's saying, as far as he knows, the UK election lasts for 4 weeks, and you can't spend more than £5,000. Not sure about that last bit. Maybe, is it £5,000 donation to a party? Or, I think it'd be a bit more than that. I think the Conservatives spend a lot. More than 5,000 as well. That doesn't buy you much. But obviously, in the UK, we don't have political adverts really on the TV and radio. Sometimes you get them, like the EU referendum, there was a couple. But it's not like massive or anything. So Meg's saying a cheerful title. Yeah, sorry. Wait, what is the listing for I had to use the restroom? Do you mean the links I shared, Jordan? The links I shared were my videos about what I would do if I was president, but they're from 2017, so I don't know if... I haven't watched them in like over a year, so I don't know if they'd be any good. I think they're alright. So Veronica's saying they put Biden and Bernie in the same camp, then I just give up, change the topic. Yeah, that is crazy, isn't it? Like, if someone does that, you can't take them too seriously. Sanchez saying, Trump's health issues, 1, he's insane, 2, fat as heck, 3, watches Fox News, 4, bald, yeah. Also, does anyone really believe Trump about his weight? Even his height? 6'3", and what was he say? Like, he's 280 pounds or something. When he's more than 300 pounds. I'm 6'2", but I'm in good shape, and I think I'm 184 pounds. So I don't believe some overweight old fat guy is 280. I just can't believe it. He's super, like 400 pounds. Especially if he is actually 6'3". He's no way is he like 280 pounds. Well, only 100 pounds more than me, and he's like absolutely huge with a massive arse as well. Superdog Logan say Republicans are Pinochet. Well, they're not Pinochet, but they are right wingers like Pinochet was. So Libertarian Socialist saying it's 2019 and half the Democrats are thinking about nominating someone who opposed bus desegregation, wrote the crime bill, voted for the Iraq War, mistreated Nita Hill, and has no empathy for students. Yeah, exactly. Like, aren't Democrats some of the dumbest people in America? Like, or can we just say like loads of Americans are super dumb? Because, like I said in that video, that rant I made on was it Thursday? I was saying Trump supporters are obviously ridiculously stupid, but Democrats are just as bad. How can they even consider someone like Joe Biden, Pete, or Beto? Like, for different reasons, they obviously consider them, but it's just so frustrating. And there's something seriously wrong with like the Hollywood style of American politics that Beto and Pete are serious contenders. What has Pete ever done? Fuck's sake, and Beto. So annoying. I don't know why I get so annoyed, but America does affect me as well. Because it's a fucking empire that hurts my country. Well, my country hurts itself, but America doesn't help. Republicans are like the DUP. Yeah, I think that's a better example. I think you've said this before. So Kennedy's saying American Christianity is just like capitalism. Well, it's a mixture, isn't it? Like, American patriotism is essentially insane racist Christianity. Well, racism, Christianity, and capitalism wrapped up into one, and that's what you get from a lot of American patriotism. So, yeah, Michael saying evangelist saying how godly Trump is. Izzy saying we just got another troller in here. Who's the troll? Superdog Logan saying the death of liberal Nelson Rockefeller Republicans pretty much ensured the Republican Party would drift extremely to the far to the right. Yeah, but even Nixon, as much of a right winger as he wasn't like the Republicans today. Like Ford as well. The Republicans today it come from Ronald Reagan unleashing this insane republicanism, which is just, anti-communist and Christian. Pretty much that's about it. And that's where the Republican Party really went like off the deep end. Really. Do I think Trump will win the next election if Democrats elect some sort of centrist? Yeah, definitely. Red Meridian agrees with me. Izzy Sanchez saying, I'm just glad that here in Tampa the Dixie flags are not being flown as much. I hate that flag. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that crazy how long the discussion... And the discussion is still polarised about taking down... didn't Trump just talk about General Lee? How are you praising someone who led... a succession, isn't it? Sorry, the wording, but like trying to succeed. It sounds like I'm saying secede from the United States. Led that war. 600,000 Americans died in that war. That is more than Americans died in World War II and died in World War One, right? And Vietnam, and nearly like combined and stuff. Like, how are people praising this man? He fought for a slave state, trying to break away from the United States. He's a traitor, and your president talked about how great he is to appeal to racists and stuff. Yeah, Evan, the political laws in the UK against campaign contributions are way, way better. Even like when we learned about like Victorian times, they were better back then than they are in America today. Charles asked before, would America be better off with Parliament? American system is fine. It's the money that ruins it. The Dissident, what did Warren say about Biden? I hope it's something good though. Yeah, Izzy, when he first moved to Tampa, it's flown everywhere. Not surprising with Florida. Warren bodied him. Wait, where's Biden from? Because Warren's the senator from Massachusetts, right? Is Biden from there too? I'm 6'5", 190 pounds. Cho, are you like super skinny then? How are you only 190 pounds? Izzy Sanchez saying his father was born and raised in... But Trump's news Germany. Oh yeah, Trump is crazy. He's saying his father came from Germany. Yeah, Izzy hates Biden though. Rourke. Yeah, Meg saying, I read a story about how Pete and Beto are using the old Kennedy's model. Evidently, they're convinced it works. Yeah, Beto's even got that Bobby Kennedy-style haircut. It ain't going to work this time. And also, they're not as likeable or charismatic as the Kennedys were. Benjamin saying, Pete can speak 7 languages. He should be president. Rolls eyes. Yeah, people like, Pete would destroy Trump in the base. Yeah, like, no shit. Trump would get destroyed by anyone, including Hillary Clinton destroyed him. Doesn't really matter at the end, because when the extremes are like that, it doesn't matter. People are going to vote for Pete would vote Pete anyway. People who would vote for Trump would vote for Trump anyway in such a polarized election like that. So for Superdog Logan saying, Americans are still getting used to the whole critical thinking thing. the Department of Education didn't exist till 40 years ago, and even then it's still underfunded. Well, there's obviously a lot of anti-intellectualism in university. Like, right-wingers think if you go to university and learn critical thinking, you've actually been brainwashed by Marxists and you hate America. Like, that's the way they make themselves feel better about their own inadequacies and lack of critical thinking. That if you have it, you've been brainwashed by Marxists. Because obviously Marxists are the only ones who can do critical thinking. Obviously Marx did do some great critical analysis of the capitalist system, but Kennedy's saying Pete is just a gay Mitt Romney. I don't know if I go that far, but I get what you mean, like super centrist. Obviously Mitt Romney's a bit worse. Mike is saying, I have severe doubts Trump would even know who Lee is or what he did. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Someone probably just told me he was Confederate general. Oh, okay. Veronica, Warren said Biden's record is not good. I love how that's seen as controversial. It's an open, like, fucking primary. Say what you want. Yeah, his record is shit. Has anyone seen those videos of Obama absolutely destroying Hillary Clinton in the primary? Do people forget that? That was only 10, 11 years ago. He absolutely savaged her in the primaries. And like I'm saying, Ted Kennedy challenged President Jimmy Carter in the primary. The primary exists for a reason. If you can't hold up to scrutiny in the primary, how are you going to hold up to scrutiny when Trump and the right-wing media machine go at you every day? You won't. You'll be eaten alive by the Republicans. Republicans don't play by like any rules. They don't play by any like hypocrisy. If Trump has done worse, they don't care. They're not going to call him out ever, and they're not going to pretend like he never did anything. So you'll be eaten alive. Like Pete and Beto, a lot of their history and stuff, and even people like Joe Biden will get absolutely destroyed by like the Republicans and the right-wing media and everything. Absolutely destroyed. Because that creepy Joe stuff is just not going away. And Republicans have such a cognitive dissonance, but like, even though Trump is like a serial sexual predator, they won't believe that, because like we've been saying, Trump being in like Trump supporters like being in a cult. They won't believe that, but they'll believe the Joe Biden stuff, no problem. So okay, Warren's saying he's bought. Okay, that's a bit better. Biden's from Delaware. All right. What do you make of the What do I make of the new parties in the UK, such as Change? Yeah, Change is a joke, man. Change is basically some centrist Labour and centrist Tories formed a party together, but they've been embroiled, and the Labour ones left for saying that Jeremy Corbyn was not dealing with racism in the party. First day of their new party, one of the main MPs in the party calls non-white people a funny tinge. They recently had to disqualify loads of their European election candidates because they'd found that they'd been posting those racist stuff on Facebook. Like, it's actually such a joke of a party. It's basically like neoliberal. The party is completely bought. So Joe Biden, I am a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. What has he said about Israel? I wouldn't be surprised if he's super supportive of Israel, though. So is he saying Republicans have always hated education? Education was demonized as a nerd thing for decades. Yeah, I agree with that. Dissident saying, I only one who thinks Pete is a little creepy, like something in his eyes. Watch him when he doesn't like a question. He seems really like no personality, at least. Go away, Pete, says Windy Melly. Yep, I agree. There are about 50,000 undocumented Irish in America. I don't know if I believe that. That's a pretty large number for a country of only 6 million people, all undocumented. Red Meridian saying, did you know the last 4 elected Republican presidents were products of the Electoral College? Yeah, that's true. The Electoral College only ever benefits Republicans, so you think it would have been a bigger movement before to get rid of it. And people like Andrew Yang saying it should stay around are totally fucking insane, really. Because why should someone in a different part of the country's vote count more than yours? Like, it should be 1 vote per person, and it should be equal voting. Don't know how hard a concept that is to grasp. Meg saying, how any Dem can honestly think that Trump won't be all over Biden's creepy shit until he's in the graves out of their mind? They'll still call Warren Pocahontas. Yeah, exactly. How do I feel about Carl Benjamin running for European Parliament? Well, he's obviously super racist, and he's running for the most racist party. I think it's a bit of a joke. I hope he doesn't win. I've never liked him, ever. But he's part of that anti-SJW bullshit, really. And yeah, he's on tape saying the N-word loads of times and saying all this homophobic trash. So, yeah, obviously I'm never going to support someone like that, but I hope he gets crushed. And, yeah. gives YouTubers a bad name, especially political YouTubers. So, yeah, Alaban HD saying what someone said earlier. I love how in America the election campaign has started 18 months before people even voted. Yeah, I agree. Michael Ferrer say you should see Biden's latest speech. I don't even want to hear that creepy guy speak. So is he saying someone else? So Evan saying, how are so many politicians so racist? It's so shocking. Even if you are racist, politicians know it ruins careers. Like, how are you stupid enough to say that stuff? It's so stupid. Yeah, but they don't think they're being racist. Like Biden didn't think he's being racist, pushing, fighting against integration and stuff. And I love how they think they can back away from that. Like, imagine if Bernie Sanders had been fighting against integration in the 70s. Can you imagine that? Would not consider him for a fucking second. But for Biden, it's like, if he says sorry, apparently everything's forgiven and everything's changed and stuff. So, electoral college used to benefit Democrats in the 1800s. Well, I'm not so sure about that, but in recent history, it definitely hasn't. So Veronica saying Americans and the Constitution is like the British and their separate pipes of hot and cold water. Oh yeah, I forgot that's not an American thing. I like it. It's how we've always done it, and it hasn't killed us yet. The Constitution isn't inherently a bad thing. Like I talked about before, the context of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence isn't what people think of it. But on the surface, especially reading it in 2019, there's nothing really, not nothing wrong with it, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. Like obviously, it provides the basis for the Declaration of Human Rights at the UN and stuff. There's a lot of good stuff in the Constitution and everything. The problem is of the laws that have been made around it and the way that the corporations essentially rule US politics because of changes in the law. The Constitution isn't inherently bad. It's just the people interpret it in such a weird way when it some parts that aren't really that interpretable. Like, and the Second Amendment is the dumbest one. Like, what part of a well-regulated militia plays into every citizen having the right to own an AR-15? Like, I don't understand that reading of the Constitution. So Benjamin said, Biden, we need to return to our values. What values? Doing the same corrupt things, but instead of being out loud, doing it behind closed doors. No, thanks, we need real change. Yeah, exactly. That's what Democrats are offering to people like Biden. We'll just do it with a nice face on it. We'll just do the same shit Trump did, but you won't know about it because we'll be so polite and we'll be so secretive. Yeah, child, the American Constitution was written in the late 1700s. The Magna Carta was written by landlords and barons and the king in 1215. The Magna Carta is the basis of UK law, but we don't adhere to the Magna Carta in 2019. We don't follow the Magna Carta. It formed the start of our legal system in a modern sense. But no one follows the Magna Carta today. It's historically our constitution, but we don't have a codified constitution, as my sister was telling me today, like asking me questions about it for her politics, A-levels and stuff. Yeah, I didn't see it all, but I saw when they were like basically giving him a layup to apologise to Anita Hill, and he wouldn't take it. That's how arrogant and how much of a scumbag he is. They literally put it on a plate for him, saying, can you not like apologise to her? And he's like, I'm sorry. What did he say? I'm sorry for how she was treated. You could have stopped all that shit. Fucking idiot. Reverend Reagan said, Carl Benjamin will only win in a card. He won't win ever. So, Alaban, would I do a video about the rise of neoliberalism in the 90s? Yeah, I guess I could, like Francis Fukuyama and shit like that. I'd more be inclined to do a video about how American neoliberalism destroyed Russia in the 90s, because the Americans and the IMF pumped loads of money into Russia and completely destroyed the economy. Like, it was so much worse than the dying days of the Soviet Union. If you want an argument of how much worse capitalism is a lot of the time than socialism, that's a good case study. Agin Zoink saying male P and Beto are like crystal Ken dolls made by Mattel. That's a good one, actually. They're so like manufactured, aren't they? So Veronica saying it's not that bad, it's the idea that cannot change. It's been amended, so even just that should say that it can and should change. Yeah, but didn't George Washington say something like there are going to be changes to it and it's meant to be like a living document or something? Like, you're meant to adjust it as time goes on. But apparently it's so unthinkable today. And also, you have the 25th Amendment for a reason. Get Trump out of office. He clearly is mentally unstable. The British burned down the White House in 1814. Yeah, good. We should burn it down again. Libertarian Socialist says, it's funny talking to California Republicans about the Electoral College. I live in Nebraska. My vote counts 5 times more than theirs, and they're okay with that. Hurting themselves trigger the libs. I guess they're okay with that because they know Republican states, people with more or leaning towards a Republican, will get a bigger say. Whether in California, I don't know, maybe they accept their vote doesn't matter in the statewide elections and stuff. This live stream brought it to you by Coca-Cola. And all the shit they do, including killing people just to get access to water. Man, capitalism sucks. Everyone tell me I'm a capitalist for drinking Coke. Because, as we all know, if you buy anything in a capitalist society, but you claim you're not one, then you're just an idiot. Semper Fi saying, Biden is just another arm of the establishment norm. Kenny saying, Biden is gross. Distant saying, better at least stop pretending like he wasn't a corporate pawn. I wish people do the same. Yeah, exactly. Like, the better not take it, saying he wouldn't take fossil... How can you vote with someone who takes fossil fuel donations? How the hell can you vote for someone in 2019, like, in current year, with, someone who takes fossil fuel money? Come on. So Charles saying there's still burn stains in the basement of the White House when the British burned it down. Yeah, we should come back. I'm going to come back and burn it down. Leave everyone in it. Joking. Half joking. Jordan Fay, hot take, I am pro-gun. Yeah, I'd like to know why. I have an argument of why I'd be pro-gun, but I'm not pro-gun. Veronica saying, the fact that there are constitutionalists on the USA's Supreme Court is based on the idea that the Constitution can be read as pure document like the Bible. Well, yeah, that's obviously pretty... Like, it's always the context that informs the reading of stuff as well, isn't it? Even like the Bible. Like, not most Christians, but secular Christians argue that stuff all the time, don't they? Izzy saying, do I get paid by Coca-Cola? Make sure you get that moolah. There is no ethical consumption on the capitalism. Yeah, exactly. Loves capitalist Coca-Cola. Game of Thrones too mainstream. Game of Thrones is so mainstream just because people are like, oh, the first 2 episodes are so slow and boring. And I know, like, real Game of Thrones fans who are like, no, the first 2 episodes are really good. And that just shows to me, like, most people don't actually care about Game of Thrones. They just watch it because it's of the zeitgeist and because of the hype. And they want to be in the conversation, and so they're too scared to be left out of it. So they watch it, and they only like the battle bits or the violence. And then when someone like character, sort of, episodes take place, they're like, oh, this is so boring and stuff. So, Evan asked me if I'm pro-gun. Yeah, I'm not pro-gun. I'm not pro-gun in England, and I wouldn't be pro-gun in America. But what I would say is that the arguments for socialist groups owning guns in America is pretty interesting to me. But it doesn't really happen. There's only a couple of socialist militias, and most militias are right wing. But it kind of does. I don't really mind the arguments for socialist militias owning guns and stuff, which I've kind of, it's kind of made me think about gun rights in a different way. But at the same time, I can't really support personal ownership of an AR-15. Do you know what I mean? I just think no one needs that kind of firepower. Sorry, I'm just changing my music, which I got in my left here. Sorry, get back to the comments. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism, so drink that soda, bitch. America should burn down Buckingham Palace. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I'm no fan of the monarchy. Oh shit, why isn't this updated? Sorry, just trying to change some music, but I haven't updated my there we go, play this. So Boy Puppy saying it's definitely not worth impeaching Trump. Republicans would never agree to it, so you just try and get Bernie in. If we impeach the Republican base, we'd be pissed and turn out en masse. Yeah, perhaps it's not worth it. But at the same time, do you just let someone get away with breaking the law for 2 years, for 4 years at that point? Like, literally, has broken so many regulations and rules. He proves that there's no laws on the president. Nixon could have stayed around if he wanted to. Superdog Lone say burn down the White House with Trump in it. The British Empire treated the American colonies like shit, but you know who else treated America like shit? The American oligarchy that took over afterwards. So today's episode was the battle against the White Walkers, and that's probably everyone's going to be like, oh, the best episode ever. So Meg saying she's a book reader, but she agrees. You hate long-form TV shows like Game of Thrones. I love TV shows so much, but just not Game of Thrones. Mr. Robot, that is top. That's my favourite. Mad Men, Boardwalk Empire, they're contesting second place. True Detective, season 3 was so good. I really love True Detective. I love all these American shows. Peaky Blinders is really good. I love TV shows, especially serious ones. What else do I like? Man in the High Castle is really good as well. So Red Meridian saying, good luck getting Trump out of office when the Democrats are voting in his judicial... Yeah, exactly. Are voting in his judicial nominees and red stamping increasing... Yeah, people, how are you voting for everything Trump puts forward? Didn't Tulsi Gabbard also vote for one of Trump's military budgets? I think that's what people are saying. She's not anti-wars. So Void probably saying, Game of Thrones bore me to tears. Kennedy saying they're always so formulaic. Kennedy, I'd seriously recommend Mr. Robot so bad if you haven't seen it. It's so good, but it's also everything we're talking about in here. Mr. Robot tackles so well. I just love, and it's so creative as well. It's such a. People say it's like a good version of Twin Peaks, or like a more, not normal, but like a different version, which is more like, I guess Twin Peaks just gets a little weird. Have I seen Endgame yet? Yeah, I saw it yesterday. I must say, very predictable, a little overhyped, but I did like it in the end. I won't spoil it for anyone. Kenny saying she's for leftists buying guns. Oh, thanks for the donation, Mitt. Unblock the Rational Voice and watch his vids. I did watch your videos, Rational Voice. If you're Mitt in this, the Rational Voice in disguise. I did watch your videos. I gave you feedback, and then you just started trolling my comment section. But thanks for the $2. I don't know if you won't actually go through the donation. I don't know how this works. So Kennedy's saying, at the same time, you don't trust the Socialist Rifle Association. Something about putting my name on a list of leftists with guns seems like a bad idea. Yeah, probably not a great idea with the current administration. All right, bye, Megan. You might not hear this now. Thanks for tuning in. 1%. Oh, shit. She must have gone by now. What else are you for, Jordan, in terms of the guns? There's lots of reasons for people to have guns and for universal background and permits. Rational Voice is blocked for a reason, yep. Ben Jones said, I don't watch Game of Thrones because I heard they get rid of characters left and right. My favourite thing about watching shows is character development. Have you seen the Joker teaser? Thoughts? Yeah, the Joker teaser looks good. I'm not sure about the director, but I love Joaquin Phoenix. And one of my favourite films is Her, or by Spike Jonze with Joaquin Phoenix in it. So I'm looking forward to that. It looks really interesting. I'm a fan of the monarchy. Michael, how can you be a fan of the monarchy? Think of all the shit they do. Yeah, Izzy saying Mr. Robot is badass. Yes. Kenny saying the only good TV show is Parks and Recreation. Nah, I'm so done with comedies, man. The Office is good though. But yeah, I've heard good things about Parks and Rec. Yeah, Evan saying vindicated stalkers can own a gun. The Las Vegas shooter was a vindicated stalker. Yeah, gun laws need a serious shake-up. Violently Brantley says guns are really fun to shoot. I think you should have to shoot one before casting a vote on gun control and punch the ballot with a pistol. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you still have an opinion about guns even if you haven't shot one. US Office is good. Alabama. UK Office is good too. Distant saying, I live in Texas for a bit. The house came built with a gun rack. My mum used it for my dad's fishing poles. Evan, come on. Man in the High Castle was so long and boring. You're an idiot, man. It's so good. Like, the world building in Man in the High Castle is so good. And the payoff for the characters. Like, John Smith and Kido in Man in the High Castle are such amazing characters. Like, me and Holly talked about this in our podcast. I talked about Man in the High Castle. But it's such a great show. The world in it is insane, but the characters, like, feeling like so conflicted about like Japanese imperialist or Nazi fascist because the characters are so good in this world is so amazing to me. Not all the characters are as good, but the main cast are seriously good. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion, but I'd argue Man in the High Castle is seriously good. So Izzy Sanchez saying, watch What We Do in the Shadows. It's the vampire version of The Office. Is that film with Anna Kendrick? Someone else told me to watch that. Or is it something else? Kennedy saying, I wanted to watch Mr. Robot, but I never got into it. It's not on Netflix. No, it's on Amazon, but it's on USA. Is it USA Today or USA Network in America? So I'm not sure. But seriously, watch it. It's so... Like, if you like this... The things we're talking about now, if you like this stuff, and you just love creative TV shows as well, it's so good. And Rami Malek is so Rami Malek and Christian Slater are so good in that. And a lot of the cast are, actually. So, what do I make of Rami Malek being the new Bond villain? Yeah, I really like it. I'm really happy for him, actually. Because I followed his career since about 2010 when he was in the Pacific, and I thought he was so good because he stood out, even when I was younger, I was like 14. He stood out so much to me. I was like, oh, I want to know who this guy is. He's such a good actor. Evan, you not like Man in the High Castle, but giving Endgame 10 out of 10 sums you up. Endgame was good. 8 out of 10. White Walkers remind me of Republicans. What a waste of $2. You can't get it back, Mitt. Mitt, you can't troll the rational voice, should I say? You can't troll the comments for ages and then and write all this garbage and expect not to get banned. And the people wanted you to vote. They voted you out. It's democratic here. Kennedy's saying, I don't watch the MCU and I pretend like I'm too cool for it, but I actually just don't have the energy to watch that many damn movies. Yeah, I'm super invested in MCU. Like, I watch all the Netflix shows, watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I watched all the movies apart from Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and Doctor Strange. I could not be fucked with Black Panther and Captain Marvel. Yeah, I've heard good things about Parks and Rec being like The Office as well. Eric saying, Mr. Robot is such a good show. My sister and I have watched most of it, but I have a few episodes. Eric, the last couple episodes, last episode 8 of season 3 is my favourite episode. Episode 10 is so good as well. It's such a good show. Do I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine? No, I'm really disappointed in Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I love Andy Samberg and I love Lonely Island and I love their humour, but I think and obviously they write it and then Andy Samberg stars in it. I really didn't like it. I don't find it funny. Maybe them being more scripted isn't as good, but I like their movies and stuff. They made it into a show based on New Zealand movies. It's on FX. Wait, what's it called? What They Do in the Shadows. What They Do in the Shadows. There's a new film the guy directed Drive and Neon Demon is making a series about police and criminals in LA learning, like, going on like existential journeys and becoming becoming samurai? It sounds so good. I love Drive as well. Alright, the casts aren't too famous, but a look into the daily lives of vampires who live 100 years on Stanton Island. So what is it like a horror comedy, a horror drama? If you want to let me know what it's about, because that description isn't great. So sorry, just catching up some comments. Sorry, what such good show. Red Meridian said, "Hey, do you have a Patreon? I'd like to donate, but I don't want YouTube to get part of it." Yeah, what do people think about Patreon, right? So what I was thinking in my head, because obviously one day I want to do it because I put a lot of work into this, and the dream is one day you could make YouTube into like a business or whatever. But in terms of Patreon, I think I'm a bit too small to do it, and I was thinking about waiting until I optimistically hit 10k one day, and then be like, I'm gonna do this, so here's my Patreon and stuff, because I don't want to like exploit people. I don't want people to give me money if they can't afford it themselves and stuff. So I thought about it and stuff, and obviously a lot of smaller YouTubers have Patreons and whatever, but at the same time, you got to make one sometime. But I thought I'd make one when I have a bigger audience, whether I ever actually get a bigger audience, because my growth has slowed down lately, even though I've got a nice consistent audience. Like, I recognise lots of you from consistent live stream comments or video comments and stuff, so which is really great because I never had that before, like a proper audience and everything. So it is an interesting idea. I'm not like hyped on doing it yet. I'm thinking for the future, but yeah, at the moment, not massive plans to do it. But you never know. I'll see how it grows one day, because I wanted to wait till 10, but that's a bit optimistic getting 10, isn't it? So Semper saying, if Biden gets the nomination, Bernie supporters will be disenchanted and Trump wins. I'd love to see Bernie get the nomination. We have to see what happens. So Kennedy saying Brooklyn Nine-Nine is great. I guess American humour is quite different to British humour. It's dumb and goofy, and that's my fave. Yeah, that's fair enough. Eric saying, if you like the Lonely Island, I have to send you a song I made about fun, the best park spot in the park lot. It's tropical rap. Yeah, Eric, put it in the comments, or comment on one of my videos later, or my community post about the live stream. I made a community post like a couple hours ago about this stream, so stick it there if you want. Horror comedy, less horror, more comedy. Yeah, that's interesting, but maybe I'll check it out. I'm not big on horror though. Horror games are okay, but not horror films are not massive fun. So Vibrantly Brantley says, I've had an idea for a gun exchange program, guns for grenades. Sure, the first week might be a bit rough, but you can only use grenades once and get more guns to the street. Yeah, but we don't want like gang people chucking like frag grenades in homes and stuff. Hi Olivia, thanks for joining the stream. Director of Flight of the Conchords, isn't that like a British thing? Yes, Red, I love it. How do Ian Slip Hislop? Alabama, I'm not too familiar with that. I'm not great on day-to-day US politics, to be honest. UK politics, for example. Void Puppy saying, I can't believe your channel isn't bigger. I always expected way more people in chat. For me, this is great. I've had like about 30 people watching for the last hour and a half. Had loads and loads of comments. You know, I used to live stream like a year ago, and I thought it was great, even getting like 7 or 8 people or 5 people watching. So this is this is great for me. In terms of my channel getting bigger, I don't know really. Maybe I don't upload enough. Maybe don't get in the algorithm enough and stuff. So I can't complain too much. I've grown a lot, about 1.5k in the last month and a bit. So that's good for me. I wanna hit like a more legit milestone. I want 10k because like 5k is good and everything, but it's like 10k feels legit. Like 5k still like, oh, you're small and irrelevant and stuff. So I kind of wanted more and everything just to become more established. But we'll see. It's because maybe because I don't cover news, maybe because I don't cover political talking heads. I might be cutting myself, I don't know, off to a lot of people, but we'll see. So Izzy telling me I will like it, I recommend it, and people came back and thanked me. So yeah, maybe I will check it out then. It does sound good. I'm watching The Americans at the moment. I got 2 seasons left. I wasn't hot on it to start with, but I'm really liking it now. Looking forward to how it will end. Vibrantly Brantley saying British humour is funny, Americans not so much. American humour can be funny, but it's different. Yeah, American humour is a lot more honest, less dry and witty, more brash, says Kennedy. Yeah, I agree with that. So Zephin saying we already have gangs chucking grenades at people's houses, they call the police. Charles saying, should the British pay reparations to India, America and Ireland for colonisation? I don't know. That's a tough one. Because I'm half Irish and half British. I just don't understand. We're at reparations sometimes, especially in terms of like a colony rather than a society. Where does the year limit end? Like, for example, Normans settlers went to Ireland in like the 1100s, right? And Normans conquered England. William the Conqueror was from Normandy in what we now know as France. Do we go back that far? Or the Tudors, the royal family here, or the family who were in power, they settled in Ireland and made it more important to the UK and colonised it more. Does it go back that far, 500 years? That's what I don't understand about the colony thing. Well, in terms of the US, it's a bit different because they had racist laws for years and built their whole society on slavery. So I don't know if anyone has an opinion on that. I'm not too sure, though. Sorry, just reading the comments. Red Meridian, have you watched The Inbetweeners? Or Peep Show? They're some of the funniest British comedies, I think. So hilarious. America should receive reparations for England. No, that is so ridiculous. And as he's saying, I don't know why you want the Tabernacle to pay for what England did in the past. But also, England would be paying me, because I'm Irish. One of my relatives wrote the Irish Declaration of Independence in 1916, and he was executed by the British for the Easter Rising, so I'd get some money. Yeah, IT crowd is alright. It's a bit dated now, though. The funniest one is when they go to that football game, because it's like, that's probably one of the biggest ones in pop culture. It's like, the trouble with Arsenal is they try and always walk it in. What does Wenger thinking bringing Walcott on that early and stuff? IT crowd is funny. The British never apologised for American colonisation. Why would we apologise? The people who formed America were generally English and English descendants, so we've got to apologise. Okay. That's true, Michael. But also, the British treated natives way better than the Americans did. Let me find the guy that learn all their languages and stuff. He's super interesting. He's in Assassin's Creed 3, you kill him. Ironically, he works for the Templars. So, British are way more guilty in many other aspects rather than the natives. What's this guy called? I'm just have to look up the Assassin's Creed 3 wiki and then figure out the guy from there. We did him in history, actually, because in our history class, they're showing us Assassin's Creed 3, and they're like, a native would never fight for the Americans, because a lot of natives fought for the British, didn't they? Because the British promised them their own country in Canada. Paul Revere? No. What is his name? I do love the way Assassin's Creed 3 depicts George Washington, though. One of the only pieces of media I've seen that doesn't paint him in a good light. Which is very interesting for a game to do. Sorry, I'm going to take the comments in a second. I'm just looking up who this guy's called. So wait, going to get to comments again. So Jorge asked me, is my accent British or Irish? I'm sorry, not big on accents. Yeah, so my accent is obviously English. It's from London, which I don't know if the British people in the chat, if there are any, can tell me if I sound like I'm from there. I generally get told I do. I don't really think I have an accent, but everyone does have an accent, don't they? So, yeah, not Irish, definitely. I'd sound very different. My grandma sounds very different to me, or my girlfriend's dad as well. Oh, for fuck's sake, where is Assassin's Creed 3 assassination target? That's what I want. Alright, so Veronica's saying they should apologise to Native Americans, if so, not the majority who are settlers. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, an apology from the British wouldn't be bad, but I think the genocide and everything, and what America was built on, because a lot of the genocide took place after the US was founded as a country, rather than the British doing it. Come on, where the fuck is this? William Johnston? Is that what he's called? Let me get this up. William Johnson. I found it. Okay, I'm going to get this guy out. William Johnson, natives. Here we go. Alright, so, yeah, Mike was saying you'd have to ask the Spanish and French for the reparations against the natives as well. Natives fought on both sides of the war. Yeah, they did, but someone like Connor in Assassin's Creed 3 being like this main guy assassinating loads of people, I think you're saying like it's super unlikely. Jordan talking about his gun stance again, saying people in rural areas need guns for wildlife. A gun is valuable in case of a societal collapse. An insurgent with a gun is surprisingly effective in modern combat during an occupation. Plus, gun culture in America is so ingrained that pushing gun control makes people vote right wing. They might vote left because most people don't know anything about political theory. So I'm just playing a game right now called Days Gone, and on the radio, it's like a post-apocalyptic game, but on the radio they're talking about like how the people who are surviving now are the people with guns. I think the Division 2 made up a similar point. So yeah, in case of a societal collapse, I guess it's not bad, but I don't know. I still don't agree with owning that amount of firepower, to be honest, because the cost of what you're saying is the blood of children from school, the blood of teenagers from cinemas, the blood of churchgoers, the blood of all these people being killed in all these mass shootings. That's the blood you're paying for your guns. Is that really worth it? Like, at the small chance there's a massive societal collapse coming soon. Do you know what I mean? So Kennedy's saying, because it was essentially a set of military and trade alliances, so wherever the Americans were stronger, the natives fought with them, and wherever the Brits were stronger, the natives fought with them. So I took a class on the Revolutionary War last semester, so I have a final SFE, so hammered into my head. Oh, okay, thanks for sharing that, though. Yeah, it is interesting. Obviously, natives really fucked themselves if they side with the Americans, though. So Sir William Johnson was a... Is this the right guy? I think it's the right guy. Okay, so he was a pioneer in the Mohawk Valley, New York, whose service as colonial superintendent of Indian affairs was largely responsible for keeping the Iroquois neutral and even friendly to the British in the later stages of the struggle with the French. So he bought land, and then his rapport with neighbouring Indians began early on in his estate. on the Mohawk River, which became a centre of Indian trade and a shelter for Mohawks. He tried to indoctrinate the natives in European ways by encouraging them in education. His ties with the Indians were further cemented when, following the death of his first wife, he married successively two Mohawk women. He was colonel of the Iroquois Confederacy, spent much of his time keeping peace among the tribes. He gleaned valuable information at frequent council meetings and organised and supplied war parties against the French. And he got more support for the French. Yeah, but he's an interesting guy anyway. He learnt a lot of the language, which is why I was pointing him out, and he's quite sympathetic to the natives. So Izzy saying, I have a Midwestern accent, I lost my Brooklyn accent, it comes when I out and I get pissed. Yeah, I couldn't imagine losing my accent, it'd be really weird. But I guess people do, don't they, so... December 5, there's kick-off events for Bernie in London. He is pretty popular here. I'd say a lot of Jeremy Corbyn supporters would go to that. I would go to that if I knew more about it. So, change the... So, Kenny saying, I have a Midwestern accent, but I sound to a weird Southern accent when I'm drunk or angry. So, are you from the South then? So, Zephan saying, reparations apologies. Reparations apologies. Yeah, I guess that's true, but it's hard in terms of the colonial period, I think. I'm Anglo-Irish. Vibrantly Ranting, do you mean you just invited some friends to the stream, or you invited some friends around your house? If you did invite them to the stream, thanks anyway, even if I don't come. I'm Anglo-Irish and I get an Irish accent after speaking to Irish people for more than 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't, because I've never really lived in Ireland or anything, but I can imagine a lot of people do. Yeah. And again, Zoink saying I sound like I'm down south from out of doubt. Yeah, I guess I sound like I'm southern. Don't know if London is a good one. So Smitty saying, investment in poor people according to the need instead of being racist, cash payout based on race. Yeah, but I guess you got to look at how communities have been affected, like African Americans by the war on drugs and stuff, and as well as slavery. Oh, thanks, Red Meridian, for the donation. Screw it, you deserve some of this. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. Even though I don't have Patreon, but yeah, cheers. It's always really kind when people donate, and I'm really, really grateful. I'm trying to sound. Someone said I sound like really cheap the way I say thanks so much, but I don't think I do. I am really grateful. I know it's hard to part with some money. So Jordan saying, right is where I'm from. Where I'm from I'm for universal background checks and permits or something like an AR-15. Maybe required training and storage laws That mix of healthcare and education would virtually eliminate the most of the problem. I don't think it really would, but it's a good start, I think. That's where we got to start. So Kennedy's saying the Brits were largely better to the natives than the slaves during the war, but they completely abandoned them when it suited them. Well, I think they abandoned the natives a lot of the time just because of, they abandoned America, really, as a place, or like North America especially. Apparently Brantley saying, have you watched this awesome intelligent English guy before, Smitty? Question mark. I hope Smitty has. Jordan saying, and thanks for calling me intelligent and awesome. Yeah, I'm English. I'm half English, half Irish, but born in England, parents born in England, but all my grandparents are Irish. Jordan saying, either way, it's not feasible to get rid of gun ownership in America. Yeah, I agree. It's not like immediately anyway. But we'll see. King George III was a tyrant. He wasn't actually that bad as a king. I read a lot about him. He's a pretty interesting guy, actually. Gets a bad rap for the War of Independence. Violently Brantley, I invited him to the stream, lol. You thought I had friends in real life. Hey, you're inviting people to the stream, so you must have some friends. So Mike was saying, Kennedy, the British official term is pretty boorish. Charles saying, King George threatened to hang the Founding Fathers' rebellion. Yeah, because it was rebellion at that time in terms of most people's understanding. Yeah, and he suffered mental illness. But yeah, he was an interesting guy. Like, he was super, like, stayed with him and his wife stayed together for so many years. I had a lot of kids. His son was a bastard, though. And he was, like, really interested in astrology. Like, he set up, like, this telescope in, is it Richmond Park or something? Super interesting. He's super smart about that stuff. Oh, okay. They offered slaves their freedom if they fought for them. And then they left them. Yeah, that's really shit. They sent them to Canada. Alright, so I'm going to leave the stream at 3. So I've got 10 minutes. So, people, if you've got any questions, get them in quick, or things we should talk about quick. American Revolution was a fight for freedom. I'd say it was a fight for the oligarchy in America to stop paying taxes to the king, in my opinion. But it had some interesting ideas as well. Early bed today, lol. Well, I could stay and do it longer, but there's just some things I want to do tonight before I go to bed. Like I was in the middle of editing a video before I came to the stream and everything. My iPhone is acting up. It's not my stream, is it? Because my stream has been freezing a lot lately. Oh, Red Meridian, that's really cool, actually. The scans of Notre Dame for Assassin's Creed are supposedly going to be used for the restoration. They're also given Assassin's Creed Unity away for free. I kind of like that game now. I play it a bit more. Like, it was all right when it came out. I always like Assassin's Creed. It's probably one of my favourite franchises. But, yeah, it's super interesting. I think it's like a couple guys worked like 2 years on creating the Notre Dame in Assassin's Creed Unity. And yeah, I could imagine why they'd use it, because they probably have all the research still and the way they've created and everything. That is super interesting. And I'm glad as well, because it's a good game at the end of the day. And I played it in French with subtitles, just because they all have really strong London accents in it if you play in English, which is really, takes you out of the experience. Kennedy, I think the revolution was really interesting in terms of ideology, but just in terms of like what America became, not so good. About to play Xbox. I want to play some Days Gone before I go to bed on PlayStation. Obviously, Benjamin saying, living in a conservative area, banning guns wouldn't be possible. I'm not a fan of guns, but I know many people that wouldn't give up theirs, use background checks and ban bump stocks first. Yeah, it's a progress, isn't it? Really, progression. Oh man, Jordan, thanks a lot. She said, hey, keep it up, good talk, see you next time. Yeah, cheers for tuning in, and cheers for the donation, man. I really appreciate it. You brought a good conversation in with a pro-gun defense pro-gun stance and stuff. It's always interesting to hear. Because I'm not necessarily completely hostile to the idea. I guess it's just the context I was raised in. And, some of the things I see in America is so obvious. A gun control issue, whether the gun control is banning guns outright or just making it harder for criminals, domestic abusers, all these types of people from getting these weapons. Yeah, Izzy, I like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I completed it a couple of weeks ago. Assassin's Creed Origins, I think I prefer a bit more, because the world is so amazing in that, like super, super polished. And the Egyptian history is just really cool as well. And also I like the Discovery mode, which is like a history mode where they give you like guided tours of all these places and stuff, which is really great. And it's really made me love that type of history as well. Stefan saying, no questions, just thanks for reading my comments, and pronounce my name correctly. Yeah, no problem, man. If you're putting some interesting comments in, I'm always going to read them. So Kennedy's saying, I was supposed to be reading Twelfth Night for my Shakespeare class this evening, lol. I've never read that. The only Shakespeare I've ever read is Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, and what's that other one? Hamlet. Yeah, Red Meridian. Assassin's Creed is really good for history and stuff. I might get it for Switch too. I completed it back in the day, like 2012, and I really liked it. It's one of my favourites, actually. But now, I think it's my favourite. Distant saying Black Flag. Yeah, I completed Black Flag last year, for the second time. For one of the first games I got on my PS4, actually. Really great game. Ending is so good. Like, when Edward goes back to England and stuff. But also, I love Black Sails, the TV show, and I love the context, because it's kind of cool. Where my history studies ended for learning about the Spanish Empire was the War of Spanish Succession, and that is the immediate context for the Golden Age of piracy, because so many merchant shipmen from all these countries had left in the Caribbean, so they just became pirates to sustain their income, which is super interesting, because the last king of Spain, of Habsburg Spain, was so inbred, he just couldn't have kids, and he was so physically deformed. So that's how the war started. If America lost the revolution, we'd be part of the UK. Well, you might have been independent anyway. A lot of these countries eventually became independent. Odyssey is a beefed up version of Black Flag. Well, it's different content. Odyssey is fun, and I like the ship combat, and the exploration is really good. I need to get the DLC actually when I get some money. But it's not the same as Black Flag in terms of, obviously, technology is way different in terms of the boats and everything. I want my reparations. Yeah, Izzy, don't worry about it, man. Donating, just leave it. It's fine. I don't know how it works. I don't really watch live streams on YouTube. I've never donated, so Vibrantly Brownie say, in Idaho, all we have is the Atari 2600. I hope you have some. You probably have some PlayStations. Come on, it's not so bad. Idaho. It's the only place in America, like, I'd never even consider going to, which is bad. Because tourists only want to go to California or New York. Well, Seattle looks cool. Washington would be alright as well. Alright, 5 minutes left. Any last comments for anything we've been talking about, or any last questions? I've got to regulate these streams a bit better because sometimes they go on for like maybe 4 hours, and then like my whole night is just like over. So Mike was saying the US took Hawaii from the British, so that's your reparation. Yeah, you also took like all our colonies in that part of the world. Ohio is beautiful, but it sucks. I think that applies to a lot of America. It's very beautiful in terms of its nature, isn't it? How is Los Angeles like that relevant? Or I guess, yeah, it used to be part of Mexico, didn't it? Yeah, but you know, America won, so no point talking in hypothetical. Ben Jamin said, much love, thanks for streaming us tonight. Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for joining us, or joining us, I guess, yeah, and joining me. Thanks for all the nice comments and everything. I appreciate it. Yeah, and thank you for everyone for all your comments. I guess wrap it up now, actually, since it's winding down a bit. But yeah, just to end it, I'd say, yeah, cheers everyone for tuning in. Thanks to donations, people who donated. It's been really fun tonight, actually. We had a lot of people. Way better than last Saturday. I didn't really have too many, but it was still alright. In terms of videos, this week, AOC has a Netflix documentary film coming out about her primary campaign. So hopefully it comes out early on Wednesday. So I'm going to watch that and review it and everything. Yeah, Violently Ranty, I do have a Twitter. I should come to... What is that state? What are you talking about? Washington and... where Seattle is? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I played Infamous Second Son. And Seattle looked really cool. So I really wanted to go there. Yeah, so yeah, Izzy's saying I'll watch it. And on Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday, because I finished editing today, but maybe I put it up on Monday. I'm talking about a British perspective on the Vietnam War. And basically, it's 20 minutes long. And the first 10 minutes are me explaining Vietnam sort of from 1945 to 1975. But then you can skip to the 10-minute mark where I just give my opinion about the Vietnam War. And it's basically going to be like how it's basically the worst imperialist war of all time, basically, because the scale and like the technological disparity between the Vietnamese and America and everything. Yeah, Red Meridian. I'm not in permanent employment at the moment. I got a job interview on Wednesday and stuff, or a job test. It's for a defense magazine. I do want it, but I have to do some tests before I get a proper interview. But yeah, I'm freelancing at the moment. I just write for an immigration... It's called the Immigration Advice Service, but basically what they do is they give you a brief and you write an article and then maybe get it published. So I write about Brexit and immigration, Brexit and football, Brexit and lots of things. So how immigration law traps people in abusive relationships and stuff. So interesting stuff, but it's not much in terms of income at the moment. So Charles saying I have friends in East Hampshire. Well, Hampshire is in where Southampton is. Eric saying, thanks as always, keep doing your thing. I'm thinking of moving to Seattle, Lake Tahoe for Denver, moving to Lisbon's. Portugal's very different. I think Thingy in the chat is from Seattle. A Red Meridian, is it? Or someone else? Is it Red Meridian from Seattle? No, Jordan's from Seattle. So that's supposed to ask. But Seattle does it really cool. It's known for like this sort of like hipster left culture, isn't it? So Izzy's saying AOC's Puerto Rican and he's half Puerto Rican, so he's proud of her. Yeah, she's just such a real person as well. I really, really like her. So I'm looking forward to watching that documentary. So yeah, get a review of that on Wednesday. Vietnam video, maybe tomorrow. I'm going to record some more videos tomorrow. So get them up over the next week and maybe 2 weeks because I've got 2 videos planned for this week already. And yeah, so live stream again next Sunday, similar time. Yeah, we'll be the similar time. I won't do it on Saturday again. That was just crap because I didn't get many people. Many people weren't free. Sunday's a nice little time. Yeah, Portugal and Britain have the longest alliance in history. It's mainly like an anti-Spanish alliance that translates into something different. AOC 2028 and 2023. I think she will definitely run president one day. Yeah, there's lots of black people in Islington North. North London has a large black population and stuff. And Jeremy Corbyn is an MP for Islington. yeah, so anyway, that's about it, everyone. So yeah, I thank all of you for joining. Check out the channel this week. If you haven't checked out already, me and my girlfriend Holly did a podcast on film. I'm sure some of you have watched it. So just check that out. If you're looking for something else to watch after this stream, we talk about things like the assassination of Versace. We talk about Danny Balls the Beach. We talk about Finding Neverland, Michael Jackson. We talk about all that good stuff. So go have a look at that. Violently Brantley, I'll check that out after the stream. But yeah, cheers for all. Yeah, Izzy, I hope you enjoy Game of Thrones, even though I'm not partial to Game of Thrones myself. Enjoy it. I always love looking forward to a lot of good TV. Yeah, good night, man. Yeah, but good night, everyone, actually. So cheers for joining me. Keep up to date on the channel this week. Live stream next Sunday, if you're about similar time, if you to remember. I'll tweet something on the I'll put something on the community tab. Anyway, but yeah, night everyone, and yeah, really appreciate donations and